Good evening, all, and welcome back to the Kieran Ploughing podcast. Thanks, firstly, to everybody who has liked and subscribed to the channel, who has watched the past few videos. A lot of people have watched the videos, which is great. I'm loving the attention that the videos are getting, going up and up every time. Over 100 views for each of the last 5-6 videos, which is great. Just need to keep pushing it. Hopefully we can find a few more winners. Obviously we've had a decent start to December. Lovely 33-1 winner with Twig on Saturday in the Beecher Chase. But this is the midweek outlook video. We're looking at novice hurdlers for the next coming 4 days, Tuesday through to Friday. And then there's plenty more content to come this week with Wednesday and Thursday previews for the Cheltenham December meeting on Friday and Saturday. So without further ado, let's get into the stick of the novice hurdlers, starting on Tuesday. It's the one race to come on Tuesday tomorrow, which is at Uttoxeter at the 2 o'clock. And we have a quite short price favourite here in Baron Noir, who won at Punchestown in the bumper at the back end of last season. Was second at Warwick on hurdles debut behind Crystal Destraval of Harry Derham's. I've just looked at the prices. He's 4-9 to win tomorrow for Alan King. Very short price, and I think he'll take a lot of stopping and beating. I'm not obviously going to have a bet in the race. I'll watch it, see how he gets on. If it's a decent performance, then potentially on to bigger and better things after this. There is one in here who will potentially be a handicapper down the line to keep an eye on. That's Keno Black of the Neil Mulholland stable. 6th at Fontwell and then was 12th at Cheltenham last time out. Likely to want 3 miles in time. He's ran over 2.5 and then 2 miles at Cheltenham, which is a bit strange considering he's a point-to-point recruit. You'd thought they would have gone up in trip rather than down, but I think this is more working towards a handicap mark later on down the line. Baron Noir looks the one to beat, and I think it'll be very difficult to beat. So that'll be the one probably to take out of the race, but we shall see how he runs tomorrow. We then move on to Wednesday, and we've got 6 races to cover on. 6 races to cover on Wednesday. The 12:35 at Hereford is the first race we're going to cover, and it's got Summer Rae in here for Nicky Henderson. Was second at Ascot, disappointingly on debut, to be honest. He's a point-to-point recruit. There was a lot of talk about him. He had entries at Cheltenham, etc. for his debut. But disappointed when only finishing second at Ascot, and potentially will need to come on from that. You got Nukarat, for the Nichols stable. He looks, I think, a handicap horse down the line. Though he's been finished 5th and 8th in 2 starts at Chepstow so far. He's not really been getting home, to be honest, over 2.5 miles. He just doesn't. He looks like a 2-miler. Doesn't look to seem to be put fully in the race either. Maybe handicaps beckon for him. And then Rock Sensation, which is probably the one I'm going to be keeping an eye on. 4th in a bumper at Cheltenham, first time up. For Ben Paulin now goes novice hurdling. He potentially could be a decent prospect for novice hurdle campaign this season. We then move on to the 105, and Vol Royale is the one I'm going to talk about here. It was brought down at Fontwell on his hurdles debut and then was a decent 5th, a very eye-catching 5th at Chepstow. The K Woolacott horse, very eye-catching. I put him into my tracker. I think he's got a hell of a chance, and if we get a decent price on Wednesday, I might have a punt on him. I thought they might have kept him for handicaps, but they're going for one more novice hurdle first. Let's just see what happens, but he looks very well handicapped to me and could potentially go well on the 105. And then the 135, another horse which I think will go well, and it's Catches Samvo for Anthony Honeyball. Thrown in the deep end first time over hurdles when running in a race behind Command Jack at Cheltenham. Finished down the field, finished 12th that day. Didn't look like he stayed the full 3 miles, to be honest. He was travelling okay coming down the hill and then just didn't get home. I think this shorter trip in lower class should definitely suit for Cachisango. Then we go over to Leicester. The 115, where Cabral Cliff is in here for Robert Stevens. 6th at Newbury behind Captain Hugo, was obviously 4th in the champion bumper last season. So that's decent back form. I know Captain Hugo has let that form down from that Newbury race, was beaten over the weekend, but I think it was beaten by a decent animal in Taurus Bay, who won that very nicely up at Aintree. But yeah, Carabao Cliff potentially could take a lot of beating here. There is one for the O'Neill stable now. This horse has been very quiet so far this season. It's 1 for 9. Point-to-point recruit for the O'Neill stable. Definitely one to just keep on side, see how he runs first time up, and potentially to see where he goes next. If there's money for this horse, then potentially fancy him first time up. But like I said, the O'Neill stable has been very quiet so far this season. Then move on to the 215, where we have Arcadian Star in here, 7th at Chepstow and 3rd at Leicester last time out for Stuart Edmonds. I actually backed him when he ran at Leicester last time. I was really taken by his Chepstow debut. I thought he'd come on big time for the run, but just didn't seem to get home at Leicester in the deep condition. I'm not quite sure why they won back there, to be honest, but potentially could be looking for a handicap mark down the line. And then the other one, which is probably more the taking one that I will be keeping on, is Living Delage for Jamie Snowden. Was 3rd on Hurdle's debut behind our boy Stan of Ben Paulins, who actually has entries further on down in the week. But yeah, he was decent 3rd on debut, and I believe that this horse can come on for the run. He will definitely be the one I'll be keeping on side. And then one up at Hexham, the 125 Union Avenue. Now this horse hasn't been seen since running the champion bumper in 2024. He finished 9th behind Jasmine DeVoe. Has been injured, been off the track, but could be a very interesting to see how he gets on making his hurdle debut for James Moffat. We then move on to Thursday. There's a couple of 3 races to cover here on Thursday. You've got the 105 at Taunton, where Fergal O'Brien has 2 interesting entries. He has Is It For Real, who went off favourite at Market Raisin, but slightly disappointed finishing 4th that day. And Runaway Joe for the Paddy Brennan Syndicate was unseated on debut at Ludlow, first time up, so whichever one Fergal runs will definitely be of interest to me. I'm unlikely to run them both, but you never know. 12:45 Newcastle, another interesting maiden hurdle, where Freddie Ready Go runs here for Stuart Corbett. 3rd in a bumper at Hexham, first time up, but this horse has been well regarded and potentially could go well first time up for the hurdles. There's Glenville in here, who was 5th at Ayr for Ewan Willens. Now, this horse was mentioned to me by Ewan when I was speaking to him about his horses potentially to follow for the season. He likes this horse and thinks a lot of him, and he could potentially have come on for the first run. Same could be said for Kent de Tai, for Rebecca Menzies, who was 10th at Ayr and then improved to finish 5th at Newcastle over course and distance in what looked a deeper race on Fighting Fifth Day, and he could have a decent chance making his 3rd start of the hurdles to get his head in front. Also, another one that was mentioned when I spoke to Rebecca about horses potentially to follow. She did mention this horse as one that could go far over hurdles this season. Looks like more potentially could be handicapped down the line. See how he gets on Thursday, if he is declared, that is. And then there's one more race to cover at Warwick, the 12:55, where we've got Chilacuesta, I believe I pronounced that correctly, in here for Jamie Snowden. 2nd at Lingfield on debut over hurdles. Got beaten by a decent one that day. The name escapes me now which horse it was. Could potentially come on leaps and bounds from the opening run. Then the interesting Skelton has 2 in here that could potentially run, and they're both of interest. Money Garrow, who was 3rd in the Persian War, and then 5th behind No Drama Descent up at Cheltenham. Obviously, that horse went on to frank the form, no questions asked, at Sandown over the weekend. Money Garrow is definitely one to keep on side for the whole season, given a very tender ride, should we say, in the Persian War. was given a similar sort of ride at Cheltenham. Is this horse going to get another one, similar ride if it is declared, and then one maybe for a handicap down the line? And the other one is Sallyville Lady, who was friendless in the market, first time up over hurdles, and she finished third at Warwick for the Skeltons. Obviously, the Skeltons love winners at Warwick, I think, which very keen to keep an eye on either one of those if they run. But the one that is going to be tailor-made for this race, and if he runs, I probably will back him, is Step Ahead. Was third in a bumper at Ascot behind Wing Beneath My Wings. That was for Don Cantillon as they moved stables to Kim Bailey and Matt Nichols. When I spoke to Matt Nichols about horses to follow, this is one that he gave me. He said that they potentially found one here. They've got a decent horse recruit from the Cantillon stable, and he's probably improved over the summer and could be a very interesting novice hurdler to keep on side. Obviously, that form behind Wind Beneath My Wings could look very decent. I know that horse is out for this season for the pipes, unfortunately, or we won't see him until after Christmas at least. But Step Ahead could be a decent prospect to the novice hurdle division. And then finally, we go to Friday, a couple of races to touch on there. The 12:25 at Bangor on D. We've got Order of the Day, course and distance winner for Ollie Murphy. And our boy Stanley, who I mentioned earlier, the Foss last winner for Ben Pauling. He is entered here, and he's also entered in the 12:05, the other race I'm going to cover, which is run at Cheltenham. My Cheltenham preview, like I said, is coming Wednesday and Thursday for the 2-day meeting. Our boy Stan won very well up at Foss last. Obviously, that form could be advertised by Living at Large on Wednesday if he goes and wins as well. But you see which race our boy Stan goes for. If I was the trainer, I'd be going for the Bangor race because the 12:05 at Cheltenham looks very deep indeed. Got Masked Man in there for the Twiston Davis team. Winner at Chepstow very impressively for second at Haydock. Manila Marathon, who won well for the Skeltons up at Lingfield. Our boy Stan, like I said, he won at Foss last. And there's a couple of others. Storming George, who was third at Newbury in that race behind Captain Hugo, which I mentioned earlier. He then went on to win at Doncaster next time for Neil King. Bespoke Taylor, who I think's a handicapper going down the line, but he comes here for another tilt at the Cheltenham race, was third at Cheltenham last time out, ran really well last time out, was third also at Fontwell. But the one that they're probably all going to need to beat is the David Pipe train at Kingston Queen, who won very, very well up at Chepstow. I know she was odds on that day, coming on from being third in the mare's bumper up at Aintree. She is definitely going to take all the beating if she's declared in this race. And it's a deep race, and if they all are declared, it'll be a very good race to watch. But yeah, Kingston Queen is definitely going to be the one on my radar. And that is that. That is the midweek preview, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And I will be back on Wednesday with Friday's preview for the Cheltenham Christmas meeting. I hope you all enjoyed the video, guys, and happy punting to you all.